Yo, what's up guys? In this video we are going to talk about the only 16 foods you should eat. All right, now obviously, you can eat other foods. I'm not saying you can never eat any other food other than these 16 foods, but when you are trying to be healthy, these are pretty much the foods that you want to stick to. And the reason for that is because they're the most easily digested. They have the highest pound for pound benefits to your health. They will prevent binging, and they, in my opinion, are the most delicious, the most flavorful foods. Ugh, and I've cooked with a lot of different foods, and it's also very cheap. They're very affordable, they're very healthy, and they taste good, basically is what it is. And they're healthier than most other foods that you can eat. If we were to rank them all in a continuum, these are the foods that are, in my opinion, the best. So, first category, think of this like a reverse food pyramid. First category is going to be beef, pork, chicken, fish, and liver. Liver can be from any type of liver. In my experience, chicken and beef are the best tasting, but you can have duck, you can have pork, whatever you want. But these five right here, this should be the base of your meals and the base of your calories. This is the secret right here. If you get nothing else from this video, nothing else from this course, nothing else from anything that I ever say ever again, it is that these five things need to make up 80% of your calories. They will keep you full for longer. They will prevent you from binging, and they will give your body everything that it needs to build muscle. And they're very efficient calorie wise, right? You eat a lot of beef, you're going to get full. You're not going to want to binge anymore. Same thing with pork, same thing with chicken, same thing with fish, same thing with liver, especially with liver. So definitely keep this in mind, right? The next thing, and by the way, special mention for raw beef. It seems to be, in my experience, the best way to get all of the benefits of beef without the downsides, which is that sometimes when you eat a lot of meat, it can kind of sit heavy in your stomach. Whereas when you eat raw meat, specifically raw beef, it feels like it just kind of melts as soon as you ingest it. You don't get that bloated feeling like you do sometimes when you eat a lot of food, but specifically a lot of meat. Maybe not bloated. Bloated is not the right word. Just that extremely full feeling. It feels like you've eaten, but you're not full, if that makes sense. You don't want to eat anymore, but you are full, I guess, if that makes sense. But you're not full. Anyway, the next one. Onions, garlic, mushrooms, olive oil, and then also spices and hot sauce. I should have organized this a little bit better, but you can see spices and hot sauce, they also kind of come around like this and go all the way here. So these aren't really garnishes in the sense that you put it on the side of your plate and eat it kind of on the side. You're not going to eat like little cloves of garlic on the side or little onions or mushrooms on the side. You're going to cook them in with whatever you are eating. So why these foods, I guess, is the next logical question. Onions and garlic both come from the allium family and have a lot of health benefits, specifically a lot of immune system boosting benefits. Garlic will decrease your blood pressure, improves your cardiac function, gives you more energy, reduces the length of sickness, reduces the frequency of sickness, reduces the symptoms of the common cold, plus 20 other things that just make it an amazing superfood that doesn't really get talked about, strangely, as much as it should. Both garlic and onions are antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral. They taste delicious, right? Think about it like this. Anytime you've ever smelled something good cooking, you're like, ooh, what is that? It's probably been either garlic or onions or both. So just keep that in mind. Mushrooms, I just kind of threw them in there because I like the texture, and the health benefits of eating mushrooms are not anything particularly amazing, but they're one of these things. It's kind of like you get a free pass with mushrooms. And out of all the vegetables that I've ever cooked with, mushrooms seem to be the most palatable, but that's just me. If you don't like mushrooms, obviously you don't have to eat them. But that is kind of the only one on this list that, well, not the only one, but the only one, I guess, from this category that you don't necessarily have to eat. Spices, think of spices like little herbal cures that all do something different, right? Cumin, turmeric, garlic powder, onion powder, lemon pepper, all the herbs, rosemary, thyme, what are the other ones? Basil, all of those things. They're all like any of you who've ever researched supplements, you'll know that all of those herbs are sold as supplements as well, and they all do various things. So you can take them in a pill if you want, or you can sprinkle them on your food every time you eat, and then you're getting the benefit from it, albeit like a weaker benefit because you're not eating, a 500 milligram pill, but you are still getting some benefit from it. So why wouldn't you add those spices to your food? And it'll also make them taste better. One thing I didn't put on here is salt. I think salt is also very important. I give you permission to eat as much salt as you want. Just make sure you stay hydrated. And then hot sauce. Most hot sauces have very low amounts of calories, a handful of calories. Most of them don't have sugar. Most of them have a lot of garlic, have a lot of spices, have a lot of cayenne pepper, all which have various health benefits as well. So, I think it's Epicurus who said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. The way that I interpreted that when I heard it was that you should choose the foods that you eat based on what they do for your body, not how they taste. And you should you should consume a lot of medicinal products as if they were food, right? That's how I interpreted that, and that's what I'm now passing on to you. Next category is butter and bread. If you can get butter that is made from non-pasteurized milk, preferably that would be what you would buy. Bread, make sure that you buy bread that is not made with enriched flour. Any bread is okay as long as it is not made with enriched flour. Obviously, some breads are better than others. Try and find sprouted grains, sprouted wheat. Try and stay away from wheat altogether. Things like spelt, things like rye, things like pumpernickel bread. Look for homemade bread also. That's generally my recommendation when it comes to bread. If you can't find any of that, even if you go to Walmart, the bare minimum in terms of bread that you should buy should be sprouted wheat, or at least non-enriched flour wheat, right? Wheat bread that does not have enriched flour. You have to read the nutritional label. You have to read the ingredients to make sure that there's no enriched flour in the bread. And then I just put these here just because you're going to probably want to eat some form of carbs. You can also eat rice, I guess, if you want. I'm not a fan of rice. I know a ton of fat people who eat rice all the time, and it has not a lot of nutritional value. Neither does bread really, but I think that it's just, I guess, a preference for me at this point. But like I said, you can eat rice if you want. This just seems like it's much easier. You're not going to eat too much bread, the way that I recommend that you prepare it, which is basically like get a couple slices of bread, put some butter on it, and then eat it with your meal. You're not going to eat too much. Whereas rice, I feel like it's a little bit easier to eat too much because you just kind of shovel it in your mouth and then that's it, you're done. Whereas making bread with butter is a much more conscious behavior. You're more aware of how much you're actually eating, and you also happen to eat less. Next one, raw milk. Okay, so this is milk, but must be raw. Raw milk is a complete food. Have you ever thought about how interesting it is that babies or cows or whatever, little animals will only have milk for the first, year of their life or 6 months of their life or however long? Lots of studies on babies that are breastfed and how much smarter they are and how much more socially well adapted they are. And there is definitely something to be said for an infant consuming the nutritional source or the source of nutrition or food from the source of nutrition that it has biologically evolved to consume. There's a reason, basically. There's a reason babies drink milk and they don't drink, fucking protein powder. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what the human body provides. I'm not saying you should drink human breast milk, although if you can get that, sounds pretty good. But raw cow milk is very chemically similar to human breast milk. So it's very good. It's a little bit expensive. It might not be legal in your state. You might have to buy it from a farm or not a commune, but like there's these places that will provide farm goods to people who live in cities. Look them up online. You could probably find one in your area. When I lived in New York, I found one, and that's it's New York City. Okay, fruit. Fruit and dark chocolate are dessert, right? You can have whatever fruit you want. You can have oranges, you can have pineapple, you can have mango, you can have whatever. I would say stay away from grapes. Grapes are the most dangerous type of food because they are basically pure sugar. There's not a lot of fiber in fruit, in grapes. So you're just eating like little balls of sugar, which it's fructose. It's not the worst thing in the world, but there's not a lot of like additional benefits that come from eating grapes when compared to other types of fruit. For example, citrus fruits have vitamin C, all these bioflavonoids that help to do amazing things for your body. Mango is the king of fruits, right? If you're going to eat some fruit, eat some mango. Pineapple has digestive enzymes. All these other fruits have a lot of really good things that you can consume. And if we think of the let medicine be thy food and food be thy medicine, if we think of nutrition like that, then it just makes sense to choose certain foods over other foods. Dark chocolate, this is, surprisingly satisfying when you eat this as dessert. I used to be the type of person, I would eat my OMAD meal and then I would buy a fucking box of cookies and I would just like devour the box of cookies. Another thing I liked was iced oatmeal cookies. Man, I could eat those all day. But what I started doing when at some point I had this girlfriend and she didn't want me buying a box of cookies because then she would eat the cookies. So I was like, all right, I'll just buy the dark chocolate. I'll just buy something. And I strangely noticed that my desire to satisfy my sweet tooth after a meal was also satisfied by a couple cubes of dark chocolate. When, before I had thought that, oh no, I need to eat all these cookies and all this other stuff to actually like satisfy my sweet tooth. Eating a little bit of dark chocolate did the same thing. Dark chocolate has a lot more cocoa than sugar. The ratio of cocoa to sugar, or I guess just the amount of sugar that's in it. Well, yeah, the ratio, I guess, of cocoa to sugar, which implies a lower amount of sugar. Anyway, whatever. It's more favorable. Just keep in mind that if you eat dark chocolate before you go to bed, it might be a little bit harder for you to sleep because cocoa is a stimulant. So keep that in mind, but in terms of dessert, that is definitely the way to go. So how do you use this master list of 16 foods you should eat? Well, this is going to be the base of your meal. This is what you're going to cook with. This is going to be your side dish. This is going to be like afterwards if you want to eat more, I guess. You want more calories, you want to taste something good, or you can even have it with your dark chocolate. This you're going to add to the garnishes and stuff as you're cooking, and the fruit and the dark chocolate you are going to eat together for dessert. So it's very easy, it's very simple. You don't need a bazillion ingredients. It's really as simple as putting the oil in a pan, sauteing the vegetables, throwing in whatever meat of your choice, cooking everything for a little bit, spicing it up, adding some hot sauce, eating it, and then that's it. While you're doing that, toast some bread, add some butter, and then you're going to have some dark chocolate for dessert or some fruit for dessert. It's really that simple. That's all you have to do. If you eat these foods, if you switch to these foods from whatever you're eating, I promise you'll be a healthier person. I don't even care what you're eating. I really don't. You could be the healthiest person in the world. You switch to these. This is the ideal list of foods right here, for the most part. Honorable mention to oatmeal as well. I do have a meal in this program for oatmeal, which I think is not to be neglected, but it doesn't really go with this style of cooking, which is like throw it in a pan, saute it, add some meat, and then hot sauce. Although I guess you could do that with oatmeal as well, but it would require eggs. Oh, I didn't even put eggs on here. But anyway, let's keep it simple. Let's just eat the meat for now. And then maybe in a later video, I'll give you a more detailed explanation on how to actually eat the eggs with the oatmeal. It's a fine art in and of itself. Peace.